So our next presenter is Ursula Hamed, formerly Basis, who is a lecturer in Arabic and Islamic Studies at the University of Munich, and also co-director of the Arabic Papyrology Research Group. She did her PhD at the University of Vienna, finished in 2015, and she works on Arabic literary papyri, early Islamic intellectual history, Arabic and Islamic magic, and popular religion, both medieval and modern. And she's been a real kind of sustainer of the world of Arabic papyrology. So the title of her talk is just about everything pre-1517, setup, contents, and new features of the Arabic Papyrology Database.
Many thanks, Marina, for this kind introduction. I hope you can all hear and see me. So yes, I'll basically present the Arabic Papyrology Database in the shoes, more or less, of Andreas Caploni, who cannot be with us today because he has a much-deserved holiday currently. So I don't have a presentation because I will be showing everything in real time. So let me just say a couple of words very generally on the database. The Arabic Papyrology Database has first been developed in 2006 and has the aim of collecting all published, full text of all published documents that somehow fall under the roof of Arabic papyrology. That means documents from, and therefore the title of my presentation, from early Islamic history up to more or less, so 1517 is an imaginary limit that we set at some time that we are also happy to transgress, but it's just kind of a guideline more or less to when we put a temporal limit to the evidence. So what the APD basically had and still has is a fully marked full text, Arabic full text of published Arabic documents from that time frame, and with additional features. So one of the big strengths, of course, is the lexicon feature, and recently also a typology feature, bibliographical data. So the APD, just one more remark before I start sharing, the APD is for everyone who wants to get some information out of Arabic documents. We also, of course, cooperate with other relevant databases like Trismegistos and many more. So answering the question that might pop up in some of your heads, who is the Arabic Papyrology Database for? As I said, for everyone who more or less wants to get some information out of Arabic papyri, because what we have decided at some point, that metadata, only metadata on unpublished documents, will also be included in the database. So we have an internal repository of metadata that is not publicly accessible, but we go over this data again, and then it gets imported into the APD. So that means even if you don't plan on working like with the text of an Arabic document, you can still add the metadata also from unpublished documents to your own research and complement your own research with that. So just a couple of points before I start sharing, and then we will see, and I'll be able to show you more details. So I think I will, let me share my whole screen. This is always the safest way, according to my experience. So this is what you see according to my computer that tells me that you in fact can see it. This is what you see when you first enter the APD. There is basic information about what the APD actually is, and you see recent numbers of how many documents are more or less, like it's, of course, we always keep it up to date, how much how many documents are there, how much metadata is in there, and also how much text, like Arabic, or like how many documents are in there with full text. So this is just to show you what it looks like when you first enter the APD. I will now go quite quickly through the different options, just so that everyone has seen it before, and so that if there are questions, then I will be able to answer them accordingly. So now, for example, so we have documents. Documents means you look up single documents, single Arabic documents from our time frame according to information, right? According to metadata. So this is where you look for metadata information, and not yet for like Arabic text in that sense. So for example, let me just run a quick search. So for example, you are interested in papyrus. I mean, it's more or less self-explanatory, right? But if you're interested in papyrus I'm doing it quite quickly, but of course you're welcome to also click through everything on your own. You are now interested in papyri from the Louvre, right? Then you just run the search. You get different kinds of entries, some with, some without metadata, some with metadata only, some with text as well, some also analyzed by additional features that I will still come to. So you will see all documents. Every entry is a document. You will see all documents that we have, either with metadata or with full text as well, from the Louvre on papyrus, the writing material. Of course, you can see that there are many more options that you can choose. And you also have this very useful, if I just may draw your attention to the right side, that where you have documents with full text only. So this is, of course, if you want to do some linguistic stuff, also look some text up, then it would be very useful to click that. It's on the side a bit, so it might have escaped your attention. This is just why. So the documents side is where you can basically look up all the metadata, and what is true for all of our pages, never forget to reset before you do a new search, because otherwise stuff gets mixed up. And let me now present the text part. This means text as on document. Text as on document. And so this will only give you results from published research. We don't enter unpublished research for, of course, copyright and intellectual property reasons. There are different layers. And so you can enter text either in Latin or in Arabic. In a transcription system that you can actually copy from here, from this, like you've got these Latin letters with the transcription signs here. If you don't have them on your keyboard, you can just copy them from here if you want to enter something in transcription. And otherwise, you type in the Arabic according to those layers. So if you choose al-mufradat written like this, then it just means this will be dotted but not vocalized, like according to the Arabic system, if you are familiar with that. Something I want to stress is the lemma, because lemma means that you are looking for a lexicon entry, basically, like you're looking for a word as we have entered it in our internal lexicon. Combined, and this is the point, combined with other information. That means you're looking like in this like category word 1, you are looking for an expression like it is in a document, combined with all different other kinds of information. Origin gives you all origins that we have for documents. Of course, some very small corpora, but some also bigger. Of course, Egypt has definitely the biggest number of documents due to the historical situation. So this is for text, is for looking for words and text in Arabic as it is on the document. And then I've already hinted at our internal lexicon. This is really for the linguistic like stuff, or if you are interested, if a certain expression that you know, for example, from historiographic literature or from another context, is also used in Arabic documents. Then you would be able to find it here. If, however, you are looking for the word in a certain time period, or if it's been used in documents from a certain place, then you would go back to text, where you can choose all of those options. So if you find a lemma here, I'm just entering the very much trodden kitab. Then this is just to show you that you will find all occasions and all forms that we have that in published Arabic documents for kitab. Of course, nothing is perfect and nothing is complete. If I may say it like this, nothing is 100% mostly. This is why, of course, if you find 1, 2, 3, 5 published documents that are not in the APD, yes, of course, yeah. This is also, there must be also something to do in the future. Anyway, let's, so these are all occurrences, different variants, and full analysis of the word kitab that we have in the APD in full text. So those features are actually quite well established. Many, at least papyrologists or those who scholars who deal with Arabic documents know those. And then we've got a couple of new things. Since we are already quite deep in the Arabic and in the documents, let me show you that we have something new that's called types. The idea behind this is to categorize documents formally and not functionally. The thing is that a formal typology, just trying to make this very short, can help you, especially with classifying fragments or with classifying documents that for some reason don't look the way you expect them to look. So if you know that a contract of sale, or an official letter from the early time work based upon a certain formal layout and formal plan set up, then you know what part must come first and so on. So this setup has been devised by our team in the last, let me just think, 5 years, basically. What I mean by that, let me just show you this very quickly. I will now choose. Let me just see. So the thing is, what I want to do is I want to show you some of the legal documents that have been marked up. Let me just, yep, here we are. So I'm choosing something where I know that we will have according results. So I have now chosen sale contracts, like contracts that work. So this is the point. Basically, the point is I've not chosen sale contracts. I have chosen contracts that say, like what we do for this typology is we cite phrases. We cite distinctive phrases in the document. So I have chosen contracts that say it has sold, it has bought, this is what so-and-so has sold or bought, based on the idea that Arabic documents, very often, most of them carry self-denominations or self-descriptions. So if you hover over your results, you already get the typological markup, basically, of what such a typical document that starts with Hada Mashtara. So this would be a contract of acquisition, mainly. So here you have the plan, right? This is what we say. This is how these documents are set up. These are the different parts. that those contracts normally contain. This is, and those are marked up text parts that all feature in those documents. So what always happens if you click text is you get the text in Arabic, each line with translation, transliteration, all our dotted, undotted, vocalized, unvocalized layers, lexicon layer, and the translation, of course, are taken from the editions, right, from the publication. So the translations are not made by us, but they are made by whoever has published these. So let me go back. So just, I know it's very quick, but just to let you know that you can also, of course, combine the typo tree, what we call it, that you have here. Of course, it goes down further, like you can also just go down with your cursor like this, so it goes on. But anyway, you can, of course, also combine all of these things with the metadata here. That will mean that you get really precise results on certain formal types of Arabic documents. The next very new tool is a paleographic tool. So we have stepped also from the pure linguistic analysis, what the APD was originally for. We have taken a step further to the paleographic analysis. So what you do either is you start with a name. So name follows the APD system. We also have a help page. If I manage to show you, then don't panic. All of these APD names are also explained in the help page, or you just basically choose values from different different values, basically. I don't know how to describe it. You can choose different, so you've got a little menu, little drop down where you can choose different paleographically measured snippets of documents. I think this should give us something. So those documents are in the APD with full text. This is why you have text. They have been typologically analyzed, and we also have angles. That means they have been marked up paleographically. So this is what a marked up document would look like. So here you've got like a legend telling you what those colors actually mean. The thing is, different browsers have different clarity of the colors, but like at some point you can't. So this has been optimized basically, I think, for Firefox and Opera, so it's and Safari, as far as I recall. So this is what it would look like with all the colors, with the markups. So paleography is definitely an ongoing also project, an ongoing and still developing part of the LPD. We have done it according to a system of script angles and line orientation. Well, if I say we, then of course my colleague who is part of the team, I'm also, like many others here, not standing here as the person who is responsible for all this, but just representing actually a team of people. That was our paleographic tool. And if you are somehow, if it's a bit overwhelming, don't worry. Of course, you have time to play around, to also ask me questions. Have me repeat some of these searches, but let me show you something very useful. That is our bibliography page. It's really what you need if you want to start reading up anything on like Arabic papyri or Arabic documents. Sorry, it's not only papyri, but we always say papyri meaning everything. So if you have heard of a book title and you heard like this book is really good, like we did, for example, today, but you don't know who has written this book, what year it appeared, you just heard someone mention this title, then you would just type it here, oops, if you can type at all. And then you would indeed get the whole bibliographic information on this book. And if you somehow recall that this author has also written some other article on these Fatimid petitions or something that you're not really sure about what like this article was called again, then you can also look for the author's name and you get everything that we have from this author, like everything that we are aware of, right? All bibliographic information in the way of publications that this author has presented. So this is what the APD does basically. There is a help site. Let me finish with the help site. We have help videos. On the left here, you've got help menu that you can just go through. So just to wrap up, the APD has been developed from a text database, from a full text database and lexicon, so that was included from the beginning, towards also a metadata database where you can, of course, you can clearly see if something has only the metadata, also has the full text. This is where it was at for some time before the idea came actually it became obvious that there are formal types according to a certain setup, according to a certain formulaic structure among documents. And so the very latest tool is the Paleography tool, and plans for the future are actually that the APD team will start tomorrow, basically, 1st of October, we will start a new project funded by the DFG, so German research fund, or I'm not sure how you would translate that to English. And this document, this project, will basically gather documents. I don't want to say too much. We'll gather documents in a certain archival situation that somehow belong together, that somehow have a common provenance, and that will definitely lead to new tools also in the APD that are already planned. So that will filter certain metadata that are not currently on display. That is something new. So then in the future, hopefully you will also be able to look for currencies, for weight units, that were used, and for other metadata that are somehow like in the text, but just that you cannot currently see unless you read the Arabic and so on, because they are not currently on display in the APD. So that is kind of the future. I think that is all from my side. I think I have shown everything that I wanted to show you. So I will go back home in the APD because I'm physically already home.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
Ursula.
Thank you, everyone.